Yes.
Yeah, there we
So
go.
we are now live on Facebook. We're just going to wait and give it just a couple of minutes for people who are going to be joining us live today. But for people who are watching the replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for visiting our page. Thank you for visiting the Arkansas Association of Black Psychology Professionals Facebook page. Thank you so much for joining. As you're joining, I'm just going to share our flyer for this month so you know what we're doing this month and what's coming up on future Mondays. So I'm just going to leave that up for a second so people can look at it. Okay. So this is a mindful minute conversation series. So thank you again for joining. I just wanted to give people a few minutes to log on, but we know a lot of folks are probably going to go back and watch the replay. But for those of you that are watching live, this is our mindful minute conversation series where we're talking about how to navigate these dual pandemics of racism and COVID-19. And what we do during this conversation series is the first Monday of each month, for the most part, we'll have a live interview or a live speaker coming on, just like we do today, from 6:30 to 7:30 on the first Monday of each month. And today, our speaker is going to talk to us about the role of grandparents during the pandemic. So during this Mindful Minute conversation series, we'll focus on promoting the emotional wellness of the Black community through engaging and educational content. And we like to provide practical tips, tools, and techniques for navigating the stress during this time. So again, today our topic is about the role of grandparents during the pandemic. And then each Monday, we'll release on our Facebook page, and we also have a YouTube page where we'll release pre-recorded sessions that focus on different topics. So for this month, for November, we're going to have topics related to holiday stress and tips for couples. So please stay tuned to our website, well, to our Facebook page and to our YouTube page for information about holiday stress and tips for couples as we navigate this holiday season. So thank you all who are joining live and for those who are watching the replay. All right, so we have Mr. Jesse Gatewood here with us for our live mindful minute. Mr. Jesse Gatewood is a member of the Arkansas Association of Black Psychology Professionals. He was born in Lone Oak, Arkansas, and he's the second eldest of 9 siblings. He grew up in the Lone Oak community where he attended school, and after graduating from high school, he attended Grambling University, where he majored in health and physical education. After graduating, he moved to Little Rock and found the love of his life. Later, he attended Harding College and received his Master of Education in Psychology. He began a career in various rehabilitation centers in Arkansas and received an administrative position for Arkansas Rehabilitation Services and devoted his heart and soul there until he retired in 2003. After retiring, he became an adjunct teacher at teaching classes at Philander Smith College and Pulaski Technical College. He also spends many hours volunteering at the Clinton Presidential Library and the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences and Jericho Way Homeless Center. He's a wonderful husband of 50 years to Ada Gatewood, and they have 2 amazing children, but most of all, he's a proud grandfather of 5 grandchildren, and he spends most of his free time with his grandchildren, educating them on history and providing them a broad view of the world and its culture. His passion is to ensure that his grandchildren receive quality education that they deserve to become productive human beings within society. So thank you, Mr. Jesse Gatewood, for being here with us today and sharing about your experience of being a grandparent. So I'm going to just turn it over to you to share with people just what you want to share for the first little bit, and then I'll follow up with questions.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Holmes. It's my pleasure to be here to express my perspectives on grandparents and the role that I would play and my wife would play with our grandchildren. It's a fun thing and it's a fun time. Sometimes it's serious, and that's just the way it is. That's the human nature. But good evening to all of my listeners out there. Thank you for having me here. I want to frame my talk and what shaped me to become the grandparent that I am now. And of course, you're always going to be learning as you go along. But I got to start at my birth. At my birth, my great grandmother was a midwife, and she delivered the first two children, my oldest sister and myself. And she also delivered white children as well, those who were in the Delta area and the farm. You know, you're too far away from the doctor, so she did that. At birth, there was quite a triangle going on there. I had my paternal grandfather, my paternal grandmother. My paternal grandfather, mother's Native American. She's Cherokee Indian, and my father's grandfather was African American. And so here we are. My grandfather, Jesse James Gatewood. Now, he moved on into Little Rock, the Lonoke County area, made a home where he met his wife, Annie Rogers, now Annie Gatewood. And they married and they had 4 children. Dad is the oldest and the only boy. On the other side of the that triangle during my birth was my maternal grandfather, Leonard Dean, and my step maternal grandmother was there. So they all were debating naming me. My great grandmother won that debate, but the paternal grandmother got her wish 3 children later and naming the other boy. And after that, and after my birth, you know, everything else was just normal, but I was the excitable one that brought all of them together into that little one room. You never seen all 5 of them together anymore after that. But we were like a lot of families. We were raised in the Delta Lonoke County area in a little township. Sizemore, then moved right into the little town next to Sizemore. Sizemore was nothing but a farmland. That's all it is, just farm. And yes, we were Delta folks. And Dad was working for this man on this farm. And named Carlton Lilly. Carlton Lilly liked Dad. Carlton Lilly was a big man in the United Methodist Church in Lonoke. So he got Dad to become the janitor of that church. That's the beginning of our transition. I'm still saying, thank you, Lord. Yeah. And another big wig in that church, like my father, and asked him to become a presser in a cleaners, a laundry area. And so that was it. Dad left the farm. And this is where he jumpstarted Mom. She always wanted to be a beautician. So she worked it out where she was able to go and catch the Trailway bus to Little Rock daily, to Velvetech. I know you all know, you Little Rock folks know where Velvetech training school is. It's they train beauticians. They've been there for 100 years and it still exists. Now, meanwhile, our great grandmother was really watching us. She really babysit. She was really the mother. But I was pretty tall for my age by the time Mom was going to Velvetech. I was real tall. We were stair steppers, first 5. But all of them were short and they were just around to my waist. I have photos I'll show you and you can see it. I mean, I was just tall for my age. I'm a 5'4", 5-year-old boy. And so I did a lot of work. My grandmother taught me how to do a little cleaning of the kids, wash clothes, made sandwiches for them, draw well water. Yeah, we went to the well and got the water, boil it for cooking, boiling for bathing. I was just a little miniature adult. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just did what I was told. So my great grandmother, she began to teach me on how to cook a little hot food, oatmeal. That's all. You boil the water and put the oatmeal in, and you know how to stir it up. It didn't take long, but we were like a lot of families trying to get out of that Delta area, and it was nothing unusual about that. Dad got a break. These two guys sold him a land with a house, and it was back next to our great grandmother house. It was a lawn that just went right to her. In the middle of that area was an outdoor toilet at that time. And so when we moved into this house, it was better. We had electricity. We had gas to cook and gas stove to heat the house and not a wood stove. I thought that was real great. But here's the next thing that took place is that Mom graduated from the beautician school, and she came when she got her license. Dad was able to build us a house. They tore that old shack down and build a house with all the modern means. Let me tell you what modern means were. First of all, we had a television. In 56, 57, television, running water, bath water, washing machine. And Dad eventually built the beauty shop, moved Mom to beauty shop next to the house, connected to the house. We had a little breezeway. Oh, we were living high hogs then. But my academics was suffering at that time. I was behind school. I was 2 grades behind at that time. I didn't catch up. I just continued on. But my academics suffered. And from that point on, my great grandmother would come to our new house and she would sit there all day. And I was serving Mom customers. And she helped me to organize. I had a wagon. She helped me to organize shopping and putting where to put the people with change in their bags so I wouldn't get them mixed up. I'm 6 years old now, going to Dan Terrell's grocery store, pulling that wagon down the street, bringing it back. And then next thing we know, hey, we need you to go out and help the people get some firewood. Miss Rosie Stewart. My great grandmother told me, she said, get your wagon. And what she did, she put a pad. She made a pad. She quilted a pad for my wagon. So that wood would not destroy the paint. And I would take to the wood, and sometimes they would give me a penny. They would give me a nickel. Mom's people would give me money, quarters. My great grandmother made a bank for me to put the money in the can and save it. Don't spend it on junk and mess. That's what she did. She got me started. My grandmother was born in 1875. She had 21 children. 3 died at birth, and she outlived 15. And when her funeral in 1961, she was 85, 1961, that was the largest funeral I ever seen in my life. Not only just black people there were white people. No room for children. I didn't want to go anyway. I was just hurt. Emotionally, I was hurt. I couldn't even cry. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't eat because I lost my best friend. And they went to, at that time, it was called Lone Oak Color School. They went into the school and it went to the 8th grade. They got chairs and table to seat people. It was the second week in November. It was a little cold there, but the people came and they sat and they raised the windows of the church, and the pastor's J.B. Cooper, he preached so hard you can hear him through the windows. And that was her legacy with me. I'd go on, but that's enough though.
Well, Mr. Gable, I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, that's just such amazing history to have as a part of your family experience, your family story. I mean, you mentioned your great-grandmother, your family, both on the maternal and paternal side, all the way back, all the experiences. And to me, just some words that I just kind of thought about and was just kind of jotting down as you were talking is really how not only are these some valuable experiences to share and to cherish and to share across generations, like we do as African people, just share all these narratives, right? But then I heard like values around education, right?
Yeah.
Like it sounded like it was values of education, values of persevering and continuing to push even through the challenges of life. And somebody commented on Facebook in terms of talking about the extended family concept and that just being an amazing and important resource for African American families. And I just love how you reflected those values of education and perseverance and that extended family concept, like through your stories and through your experiences. It's just part of it. So I just thank you for sharing that and just how y'all navigated all those challenges. Yet still, it sounds like had an amazing connection.
It's a great connection. But one thing I want to add, Dr. Holmes, is that when we move into that house, that modern house, our grandmothers sat there and spent all day with us. Mm-hmm. And she controlled the TV. She's never seen a TV before. And then she sat in that bathtub. We had a nice sized bathtub then. And she was sitting there saying anything with Jesus' name in it, she sung it. And I kind of acted and said, please, Jesus, get her out. It was just having fun, but I did. Right. And then she moved to Granite Mountain. Mm-hmm. And lived for 5 years after that. And I was really happy. She had 6 years of modern means. Look where she came from. Her mother was a slave. Yeah, just think about it. Her mother was a slave. And she didn't talk about that much. We couldn't get her to talk about that. Because her mother didn't like it. Her mother, and I need to stop. I got stories. You want to know, you can come to me personally, but I got stories about Mama Suarez.
Wow, you have stories. Wow, you do. I think amazing stories, wonderful memories that, like it sounds, there's obviously hardship, to say the least, within that. But also amazing stories of people being able to overcome and have, like you said, had those experiences, and you were glad she had it. Tell me this, what do you feel like from your experiences that you had of grandparents and even great-grandparents, how do you pull that into how you grandparent, right? Like I'm wondering, with your experiences with your grandparents, does that impact how you are a grandparent to your grandchildren?
It's easy. Number one, I didn't know what I was doing with her taking care of my siblings. She was a role model. I just copy her behavior, the same thing. And that's a positive thing that was instilled in me and is still there now. It's a good value to emulate. And you can transcend that on to my children and then to my grandchildren, and it's going to go on. The action speaks volume, and I love it. Now, she taught us how to live responsibly. We didn't know what we were doing was responsibility and being responsible. Look, I was washing clothes in an electric washing machine in that old shack, wringing clothes out. She taught me how to put rinse water in there and then do a wringer. You know the wringer? No, you don't know. You have to Google it.
Okay.
To wring the water out of the clothes and then hang them up on the line.
Okay.
I mean, look, I'm 6. I'm 7. 6 and 7-year-olds don't do that now. But I can transfer my experience to my little ones in another way in this society. And I can tell you what's right and what's wrong. We got to talk about that. What's right, what's wrong. You know, how do you conduct yourselves? Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm just kind of, because it sounds like what you're saying is you just, the same values that you learn, you just try to say, hey, how can I copy that? How can I do that? Because you learn responsibility. So you're like, now how can I teach responsibility and right and wrong and just, how to conduct yourself. Somebody asked a question, and this is kind of what you've been speaking to, but I'm wondering how you would answer it, is what would you say, what was the most important lesson that your elders taught you?
Well, let me tell you this. God and church was always there, but I was not always there with them, with God and church. We also worked with people, pastors, who didn't have retirements. I saw what the people in the community did. I'm talking about poor people, what they did. That's care. That's caregivers. That's a good role, a caregiver. And my great grandmother orchestrated that. My maternal grandfather was a mailman in Little Rock back at 20s. He lived to be 102, and his wife, my maternal grandmother, was 104 when she died. So their lives, it was total contrast. He was a mailman. He was a very intelligent man. He made feed and grains right there on 9th Street, 9th and Hanger. And he used a horse and wagon. When the Model T came out, they gave him the Model T to drive. So he was big man. And I can tell you this, he wasn't married then. The mailbox were lined up. Do I need to go into that? The mailbox were lined up. And just so happened that my step grandmother, her family grew up on and worked on Gambling Bow up and down the Mississippi. They stayed together. That's the value of that. They stayed together. The male was a leading role and the women had to ask to leave, and they may say yes or no. My grandmother was 15. When that boat docked in the Pulaski County area, she jumped the boat, turned around and waved and say, goodbye, Papa, and Papa waved at her. And she got tired of working on that gambling boat. So here we are, caregivers. That is valuable because you have, when you do that, there's opportunity to love. when you keep a family together. The other thing is that it's a teaching moment. You can talk. That inspires. I was inspired by her talk. I was also inspired by my maternal grandparents. Maybe I'll talk about that later on, what they did and their role. You'll be interested in that, maybe. But I can tell you, I can go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, because you said some great things, so I just want to highlight some of what you're saying. And interestingly, I want to kind of connect it to what you sent in your bio, because you talked about caring for people, that you've learned this from your elders and your grandparents in particular, is caring for people. You kind of slipped in, kind of supporting and being there for the community, and the importance of families loving each other and staying together. And interestingly, as you were saying that, I was thinking back to your bio and realized you reflect all of those things. Like, you very much connect with your community, and you do a tremendous amount in the community. Anybody that knows about volunteer efforts know that you volunteer. You are like, that's what you do, and you're great at that in your retirement season. And you've done a lot to help people in the community over the years in different ways. And clearly you have stayed connected and loving with your family. So that's just amazing. That's amazing. What I do want to ask you about is, what are some ways now, we kind of talked about it, but what are some ways do you feel like you support your grandchildren in terms of the value of education? Because I know it's obviously been important to you. It was important to your elders. It's important to you. So I'm wondering, how are you continuing this value of education and supporting that with your grandchildren?
How we do this, being Ada, we are partners in this. My wife, Ada, we are partners in this. And when the kids come here, even when they were little babies, when they were infants, I got my little grandkids and I put them all on my chest. I want them to feel my heartbeat. I want them to feel my breathing and the touch, so they can feel secure. Clear their heads. You know, the education is that Ada would have them to make symbols before they could write. And then she would teach them how to write their lane. She's a retired school teacher, so that was the way. I got out of the way, let her do that.
Okay.
Sometime I would get the book and I would read to them. And when they get tired of me reading, I can tell, we just let them down, I just let them go and run around the house. Because grandparents can become babysitters, but we have to be careful with that. We don't want children to know that we are there and you can just bring the kids anytime. No, you got to call. And I'm retired. I got plans. I do things.
Yeah, that's right.
But the education is this. They see my books that I have. Every time I go to a book signing, I will have the author to autograph the book to this child. One day, when they get old enough, they're going to read it. And now, I'm not ready to give it to them yet. They're not settled down yet. They say they're going to lose it, because these books are history. And I want them to understand the importance of reading. And my grandkids do. Right now, I have a college student. I have a one who's in training. Incidentally, I'll tell you, she has made us a great grandparent. We a 3-week-old grandson, great grandson in the NICU. We haven't seen him yet. So only the father and the mother can.
Okay.
So and then I have a 16-year-old at Central. And we have 11-year-old and an 8-year-old boys. And they come to us daily now because their parents have gone back to work. So now we are what you call virtual observer. And that's what Ada does. She got the schedule. Now, Dr. Holmes, she got those schedules out, looking at them just like this and put them, here are the schedules. Jess, I'm leaving. I want you to look and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. I said, hey, teaching, child, you're done. But that's what it is.
Yeah. That is what it is. Yeah. Because that sounds, I'm sure there are a lot of grandparents out there that can relate to what you're saying, that they are really providing that role while their grandchildren are doing that virtual learning. There's probably a lot of grandparents out there kind of providing their role of kind of monitoring, watching, and overseeing their grandchildren with school. So, wow, you all are doing that. You all are doing it.
And then here's what I would do. Wednesday is a short day, so I would take them on a trip, like to the Capitol. We spend a couple of hours there every floors, and then we go to the park. And I'm driving and the fun part is that I'm driving my car. I have a 77 Thunderbird, 8-track tape. You know what that one is. Yeah, and we'll take the back road. Now, they used to ride with me and do it. I can't get the girls anymore. They grown. They mid-teenagers and young adults now. But the boys, they've heard enough of it. They don't like the car. It's too loud.
I see. Okay.
But it's an educational thing.
It is.
Talk about the governors. I showed them the picture. They said, oh, Central High School. You know, it's in the, I forgot what floor it's on, but anyway, the governors who had to deal with that, it's quite interesting. I'm going back again myself now, myself next time.
I see. Well, that's awesome that you do that. So it sounds like not only are you all overseeing their virtual learning and being grandparents in that way during the pandemic, but even when it sounds like whether it was a pandemic or not, that you still take advantage of these opportunities to expose the grandchildren to all the wonderful education and learning opportunities that we have here in Little Rock and other cities, I'm sure. We did have another question about what you feel like the significance is of storytelling to the younger generation of African Americans. How important, or what's the role do you feel like of like storytelling to kind of tell them about history and all sorts of things?
Storytelling is good, I tell, but I'm not as good as my great grandmother. She had you captivated. Mine is sort of like a playful type. Ada, I heard her talk about her grandmother and what she did. I would say, hey, y'all, look, you see that squirrel? When I was growing up, a squirrel would never come in our yard. They know they're gonna be in somebody frying skillet later on. That's what and they look at me, the frown faces. That's the type of stories that I tell them.
Okay. So that's what grandfather does. Grandfather has the fun stories. Yeah,
you got to nurture the laughter, because you got to laugh. But they eventually laugh. First of all, I gotta tell them this story. I said, your parents did not eat liver, so I put the liver in your dad's mouth, and I say, chew. He said, Dad, I'm chewing, but it won't go down.
I think it was great. Yeah. So you tell them stories about their dad,
and their mom, but their mom, dad and mom were two different personalities, but they surely do mold together. They love each other. Emotion, yes, and they're two totally different people. You know, my son is a career person at the VA.
Okay.
He's and he bought a house for he and his family. They did that. I told them about my first house. I showed them the picture of me. I don't show those pictures to anyone. Those Delta pictures of us. I may, if you want to see it, I'll just bring one and show it to you, but I ain't gonna show it on a virtual or a computer. No,
I understand.
but but I show them pictures, and then there's pictures of their children, their parents in the snow playing. Now I I made sure each one of these kids, when it snow, let's go out there and snow angels.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun thing. The gratitude, the positive attitude that you can instill in them. And you know, working out your role as a grandparent, it's not easy for a lot of folks. I don't know what type of grandparent I would be if I become full-time parent. But I did tell my kids, I said, y'all better make sure y'all stay together with your spouses, because you know, them kids, they go, and if we got to keep them, they going to DHS.
Oh my goodness. Oh, oh. I like you talk about.
Look at you laying back.
You like to nurture laughter. I know that that's a part of your personality, and it seems like that's a part definitely of how you do grandparenting. I like how you said that you like to nurture laughter and you focus on gratitude and having a positive attitude. We had another question. Somebody's wondering, I think it's a good question, of what do you feel like has changed from your role as a parent to that of a grandparent? How's it different?
Both parents, we work and we put kids in the nursery, any caregiver. Now you have to work out what role will that parent play in terms of who pick up, who cook, who shop, who take them out on activities. Technology has changed a lot, and I can tell. And I'm not losing, but they're grown, they're gotten older. I know that my girls, when they hit that central high, the 9th grade, Papa, you don't have to come and have lunch with us anymore. Papa, don't kiss us or hug us in public.
That is part of it.
That's part of it. You probably said the same thing too, but I don't know. I ain't going to put you on the spot. But the road, we have to be careful. Sometimes I have a friend who, he had 3 children. Both of us were college referees. And he talked about his job description. I said, you have a job description written out? Yeah, all of our children wrote us a job description. I said, I always wanted them to bring me a job description. I put a match to it. He has a job, and he and his wife followed that job description. I'm not sure that if that's what they like, I say go for it. But I wouldn't advocate job description. What you're saying is this. You may want to do something at this particular time and day, but no, that's when you got the grandkids and you're supposed to take them here. I'm not sure if I made that clear, but job description doesn't sound good. I guess I'm too country for that.
I guess you're saying that each family has to figure out what works for them. Some families, they can be okay with a job description so they're on the same page, but other families, that type of approach wouldn't work for them. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, family dynamics they're totally different, and there's conflicts there. We aren't going to do anything. If they ask us not to, we won't. If they ask us to do, you know, we will.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing there about it. I just want to make sure that we stay together and don't let anything split us. No schism in the family at all over something like this. This is simple. These are human beings. We treat them, we love them. We got to nurture them. We can't let them see us go through all of that emotion strife, because kids don't take anxiety and stressful things today. They don't take it well. None whatsoever.
Yeah, so it makes sense if you want to, be able to provide that atmosphere and environment for them where they see people for the most part getting along and working things out in a healthy way. Yeah. Tell me this. One thing that I'm wondering about is we talk about this topic of the role of grandparents in navigating the pandemic, and not just the pandemic of COVID-19, because you talked about that. You talked about kind of you all's role in overseeing virtual learning and then also providing these educational opportunities. But I'm wondering about you all's role when it comes down to race-related issues and this other pandemic about systemic racism. So I'm wondering, like, how do you see yourself as a grandfather during this time, and what's your role in kind of helping grandchildren figure all this stuff out and just understand these racial issues during this time?
All right. I do have some sources in there. When I hear them talking about something dealing with race, what they heard at school, I go pull a book. The only time I went to an integrated school is when I went to Hardy, do my master, and then Nebraska Psychiatry Institute when I did my 4-month internship. And I didn't grow up in the high school, junior high school and high school like they are. But I do have some experience to share with them. And I try to be careful with that as to move into that area, because I don't want them to leave angry. I don't want them to get upset. I say in this world, we come together. You see where Black Lives Matter? Well, I go and get I have over 500 albums that I bought when I was in college and young adults. I stopped buying albums when they start making this other little gadgets. Anyway, I will pull out, I say, each one of my albums would tell a story by looking at the picture. All right, now let's play it. Let's listen to it. And then I would tell them some of the cases I've had in the 70s when Arkansas schools were being integrated, when I was working with juvenile in a diagnostic center for those kids who had gone through court and possibly going to lockup. I give them examples. I said, here's one example. When I was in school, the captain always crowned the queen and kiss her on the jaw. So we all want to be captains. But, now, in the 70s, that was a problem with some of the school system, the black and white. So then after that, they start selecting a black lady and a white lady. The captains could not go out on the field and kiss because they weren't ready to see that. But they did that several times, and they send those kids to court just for that. That's the truth. That is the truth. And one of the parents is going to bring me a Bible and say, God said that black and whites should not congregate together. I was waiting for her to bring that to me. She told me that on the phone. But that I tell them stories like that. Now I tell them this. Now let's go back. When I was in school, on the movies. Movies didn't cost but 15 cents during a little time, and no more than 25 cents during my era as an adolescent. In Lone Oak, we had 2 lines. We had to stand in line, buy a ticket here, and then we had to walk all the way around to go up to the balcony where the white student bought tickets and they went straight in. Mm. And when we had movies that was controversial, like Stormy Weather, Imitation of Life, the South refused to bring I Pass for White because there was too much hugging and kissing there. They weren't ready for that. We had the constable, we had the local police, we had the county sheriff, and we had the state trooper walking between the lines, make sure nothing would happen. But they would stand and faced us more. And I said, and today, what's happened now? They hung us in. Right now they're shooting out in the public, out in open, videos. You cannot go out there and start waving some crazy knife at people with a gun. They're going to shoot you anyway. That's how I tell it. Say, best thing you do is whatever they say, do it. Get down. Stop watching this telling me, I don't get down on my knees for nobody. No, you get on your knees to live. Right. Then we'll come and we can talk about it if you want to. Mm-hmm. Yes. Those are some of the, I do talk that, and I will play the albums, and I play albums that has little language as they got older, and then I explained it to them what this was all about. This is just pure anger, and frustration, because what's going on in the world is not right, and it still is. So I share my values that way with them in dealing with the Black and white situations by telling them stories.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And that's been one of the themes of our talk, right? The importance and the value of storytelling and in the process of instilling values in the younger generation. One of the things I really like about what you were saying is through storytelling and through music, it's like this awesome way of helping them to process the world that's going on around them and helping them to understand it. So even if anger was expressed in a song, then you would help them to understand, no, this is what's going on, this is what's happening. Yeah, and helping them to just understand that.
It's lovely. Many of us, we used to have serial movies every week at the theater. Say it's Superman. Now here we come with the modern day Superman. They say, your Superman was boring. I said, that was low budget Superman. This is high budget Superman. Money makes a difference. Yeah. You got to have that good feeling of yourself. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy with these kids at times, but you stay with them because you got to help them to follow their dreams. You must, that's a must. And the possibility. That's where the family unity is strength. Family unity is strength. And it take all of us.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that, because it's almost like it's this nice balance between, and somebody noted it on Facebook, how it's so important to teach grandchildren how to come home safely and how to grow up to raise their children well. And it's like, even in the midst of you having to help them to figure out what's going on in this world, right? And how to be safe, how to come home safely, just how to come home safely, while at the same time letting them know that they can also follow their dreams and possibilities, right? Like all of that could happen at the same time. I
All of
think that
it.
that's great. All of it can happen. And it sounds like that was something as you did as you were kind of telling about your experiences earlier, it's like that was the same thing you received. You learned from your elders as well.
When
Yeah.
my siblings call me sometimes, that the baby boy want to say, "Hey, G1, how you doing? G2, G3, Gatewood 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, okay.
Some of them may say, Pappy, you know, I'm the oldest.
Let's see.
I am
Yeah.
the oldest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never realized until this past October 5th when I hit that 73 mark. In my mind, it's fooling me.
I see. I see.
but when I get up and try to do things, I say, "Oh yeah, I know what my misery mean now."
I see.
You
I
heard
see.
that
Have
before?
another understanding of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'm wondering as we talk about like how your role as a grandparent in helping your grandchildren to understand and navigate all of the stuff with racism, how is it different? Because you mentioned earlier how your grandchildren are different ages. You have some who are young adults, but you also have littles like 11 and 8. So how are those conversations different, about race from the little kids and then the young adults?
All right. My oldest grand is very. Uh, all these kids are smart.
Okay.
All of my kids here, they grandkids, they are 3 points and up, except for one. Uh, yeah, I guess everybody you can't have a whole perfect family, but she had good grades. But all of them are 3 points. One of the things that I do, I celebrate. You know, Kyle, Dr. Holmes, uh, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Well, I can restate, but you can let me know. I was gonna let you just kind of flow.
Restate,
Oh, but
restate.
I'm wondering, like with the young adults, are the conversations about race different with
Yeah,
them?
yeah. There you go. That's the part I missed. The oldest one, just recently, she's getting ready to go into the honor society at Pulaski Tech University, junior college. She said, "I got to think about it." I said, "Whoa, you got to think about what?"
Mhm.
I went back and got my school honor society plaque and my major honor society in college. Let's see. That is why you go.
Mhm.
That is why you go. Now, well, I don't like this person, blah, 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 without saying anything. And yeah, it was the opposite race. And I said, no, you're gonna have to one day you may work with that person. That person gonna be working with you. The best thing to do is nothing wrong. When it say honor, there's a lot of kids out there like to be right here where you are. There's a lot of kids who want to go but don't have the money. You happen to have grandparents. We always got y'all back on anything.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you came and you talked to me. So what you gonna do? I'm going to the meeting. Thank you very much. That was done. My 11-year-old in here, I remember when he made a statement, and my daughter called us. He said that Donald Trump is going to kill black people. Now here's a fifth, fifth, fourth, fifth grade. So of course, she called, her husband to go, and she want to make sure somebody get that. She had me, and I think she had his paternal aunt. Tamara covered all the angles. She wanted us to jump on that right away. And so we converged and we saw the dad, and then we left. When I say we left the room area. I want him to stand there and make sure he see me. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't have to say anything. I want him to see me. We got your back. And we're going to talk about it. Yes, we do it. We have to do it that way. When something come up, go and talk. You can never, don't let anything slide, because I forgot the young man's name. He said, I like it when he's from Fort Smith. He said the amygdala hijacked the prefrontal lobe. Well, you know, they're poor impulse control. They can't make that decision, and next thing you know, the amygdala has hijacked.
Yeah, that amygdala, those strong emotions coming in and hijacking our thinking.
Yeah. Yes, every instance. We talk about that. We talk about the black and white issues. We do.
Right. That's awesome. It sounds like one of the things I heard you say, which is so powerful, is that you want to let them know that you all have their back, from the youngest ones to the adults, that no matter what, you got their back and you're going to be there. You'll be present and you'll be supporting them. Well, no matter the issue.
No matter. You know, it's like this. I know a lot of grandparents start resources for the children, grandchildren. I didn't want mine to, I didn't want their annuities to be just for them to use when they become adults. I want them to have it when they retire.
Right.
That's what I want. And I told the kids, now I fund all of it, but y'all got control of it. Now, if the Lord bring me home and I look down and see what y'all doing with it, I'm asking the Lord for a sabbatical, and I'm coming down on earth and I'm gonna hank all of you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Well, you shared with us quite a bit today. This time it's just flown by, but if I could just summarize a little bit for the listeners and those who are watching on the replay, it's just the amazing values that you teach your grandchildren around responsibility, around how to conduct themselves, about the importance of connectivity, the importance of reading and education, and the importance of getting home safely, right? The importance of getting home safely. And even in the midst of all of the challenges that come with being Black in America, that we can still follow our dreams and our possibilities. I think that's amazing. And it's like you do that through such an amazing way of telling stories and keeping them laughing. I'm sure you keep laughing. What do you want to leave with the listeners? Any tips or ideas, or just any closing comments to leave with people?
You know, I say, grandparents, don't talk with them now. Wait till the children come into the world. It's a whole different thinking and perspective there. Talk to the parents about their ideals for you and what they want your role to be. I say, well, I can give them that. Yeah, tell me, because now I can share and let them share with us their ideas and hear it and put it together. Be clear about what your choices are now. That's what you all do. You got to be clear about these choices and what you're going to say and what you want to do now. There are events that come into people's lives that derail you. And you got to find a way to come right back to that. And what are some of the concerns that you may have in the line of communication? Will it be open? Will it be closed? Will it be semi? Will it be chilly, cold? No, to keep that line of communication open. And that, because those are your children. These are my children, yeah. And as you work out your roles, always remember that the parents They are in charge. I know who's in charge. They are in charge. And yeah, of course, I know I raised my children. I may have done a little differently. My parents did it differently too, but I had my own idea. My idea, I'm telling you, was my great grandmother, Mama Sparks, because she got me at the critical stage of my life. And that's what I saw. So I saw no wrong with her at all. You know, I'm the only child out of 9 who never got a whooping by the parents. And I still attributed being around Mama Sparks uh, as a miniature adult and to where I am now. Uh, I always call that miniature adult. Raising grandchildren is the parents' job. That's their job.
Their job.
We here for we are the resource folks.
So you know that you keep the lines of communication open. You understand that the parents, it's very clear, a clear boundary. The parents are raising them, but you all are an amazing and wonderful resource. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Mr. Gatewood, for sharing your wisdom and your experiences and all this amazing information and just these nuggets for how to the grandparents' role and how to navigate these dual pandemics of COVID-19 and systemic racism. So this was just an amazing, I think, part of our Mindful Minute series. So for those of you who are watching, again, this was part of the Arkansas Association of Black Psychology Professionals Mindful Minute Conversation series. We're going to have pre-recorded videos released on our Facebook page and our YouTube page this month on holiday stress and tips for couples. And in December, please stay tuned. In December, we're going to have some panel discussion and live interviews around the use of visual arts for coping with COVID-19 and racism, and the use of literary art for coping with COVID-19 and racism. And then we'll also talk about some non-traditional holiday celebrations. So thank you again, Mr. Gatewood, and thank you for those who joined live and those who are watching the replay. Everybody have a good evening. And again, thank you for your time and expertise, Mr. Gatewood. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.